would you say that you're part of the first generation black opera singers in America, or there's generations before you that's been involved? Is that something that's been going on for centuries? Because I'm coming on this thing with very little knowledge. I looked over to opera, I'm like, opera what? That's Pavarotti, and that's all I know. You know what I mean? So sorry guys if I come out unlearned, but anyway, but no, are you guys, would you say, your second, third generation? Did you have black people inspiring you looking back in the history books?
I think we're not even third generation. I think it's many generations before us. I mean, wow. I mean, but a classical sound or refined sound is something that is innate to Africa. I mean, it comes all the way back there. I don't think with formal lessons or anything were given, but I think that to make that sound that we make, that open, tall sound, not flat. I mean, this is throughout African music.
Affinity Xtra, be Xtra.
Alright guys, this is Roger Moore here on Affinity Xtra. We're here to be absolutely fast and extra. We're here to talk about extraordinary things on the Edge Show, and today's show I am totally perplexed and uneducated in a form of opera singing, as you can imagine, because I failed in the choir exams because my voice was too high for the tenors. But anyway, let's not go into my history and and where I'm at as a human being when it comes to choirs. I'm always mentioning that part anyway, so yeah, hence why I end up being a bass musician. But anyway, we're here to talk with it's, believe it or not, we have two black opera singers in Birmingham, not Alabama. Birmingham, you heard it first, the UK, the capital, the creative capital of the UK. I will get slammed down for that statement, but tough luck, I will say. But I am now going to talk to the lovely Chrystal and brother Eric and Reisz Amos, and we're gonna have a journey about this. We're gonna have a cool conversation. We're gonna go straight in it because we got a limited time because these guys are so busy, and we're gonna talk about the journeys and how they got here, and we're gonna talk about being black in this field where, as far as I'm concerned, I've never been to opera in my entire life. So do I intend to go to this one? I don't know. But if I talk too fast, guys, because I've been told by Americans I speak very fast, because I'm influenced by American programs. But anyway, just say Reisz is my Google translator, so he will translate for me.
Shut up, Raj. That's what I'll do.
So we're here having fun. But listen, let me just hit the start of it, guys. Thanks again for your time and your just have been giving us opportunity to talk to you guys right now. Just let us know, how did you guys get involved with opera? How did you just give us a little bit intro in terms of yourself personally and how you got into singing and then how you slipped in the usher. Just, if it's a couple minutes each, man, just go for it. I'm going to start off with Chrystal and I'm going to hit over Eric.
Well, first off, thanks for having us. It's a pleasure. Yes, we're in Birmingham and it's fabulous. It's hot today. But my name is Chrystal E. Williams. I am from the States, originally Southern Virginia. I am the youngest of 5. I grew up in the church. All of us took piano lessons and eventually some musical studies. I played piano in Sunday school, and I went on to school and I, took the choir and, that I took that journey through school. But it was interesting. I wasn't introduced to opera until, I guess, as a career until I was 6th or 7th grade, and there was something called the Sample of the Governor's School for the Arts that toured in my neighborhood. And Robert Brown, he's since passed away, but he was a fantastic teacher and choral master. And he was at the piano playing the children's chorus from Carmen, I believe. He was literally vibrating. So I was drawn to this big man vibrating at the piano. Even when he spoke, it was just like some cavern or something inside him. And so this little wee thing, I went over and I was just kind of glued to his side, just mesmerized by the vibrations coming out of his back. Needless to say, the director at the time, Alan Fisher, said, you'd be a great fit. Just audition and you'll get in. So I memorized Wake Us Up Baby. My whole family to this day can sing it. And I got in, and that was kind of the beginning of that journey. Growing up, we listened to all kinds of music. some opera, some classical, but it wasn't, there wasn't anything that was fixed or forced or, so this was kind of the first entry into a studied arena for classical and opera.
Cool. No, that's cool, man. That's just, it sounds so simple, but so untraditional for me. But anyway, Eric, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Eric Greene, and I thank you for the invite to be on the show. And I started also in the church. 4 years old, I started singing in a church choir in my church, and I guess I was a soprano. I was a boy soprano for a long time, but not like a boy soprano in the classical sense, boy soprano in the gospel choir sense. So,
yeah, cool.
All of that. So I grew up. My voice did not change until I was in high school. And that was like the 10th grade is when my voice began to drop. And I was a first tenor first, and then I went to second tenor, and then it kept going down, and I stopped at baritone. I'm not a bass. Bass is the lowest, but I'm a baritone. So my journey into classical music, my introduction to classical music was in high school. 9th grade year, which is we go from 9 to 12th grade. So 4 years of high school in the States is how we do it. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I forgot to say that. Shout out to Baltimore. Be more. But I was introduced to classical music there. And that's what I fell in love with first. So the French chanson, the French songs, the German lied, German songs, and the early Italian songs. And the German sort of stuck out to me the most because it was talking about nature, and it described your love as through nature, your loved one or your admirer, the one who you admired, they described it through nature. So nature was like my go-to. I love nature. I love the outdoors. I love being outside. I love playing as a kid. So that struck a chord with me. And then the music was very hymn-like. So it took me back to the church in a sense. And then because it's talking about nature, it took me back to the creator. And so I thought it was just a harmonious fit for me. And then as Chrystal was saying, as to be consistent with this, is that it was a person that attracted me to this music, who inspired me to go forward. And that was my voice teacher. And I met her. Her name was Jean Carter, and she was just amazing. Just as a person, I mean, her personality just was. It's not grand in the sense of like being over or being the most. It was grand in the sense that it was so grounded and solid, and she had such a structure about her, and I was attracted to that even as a 9th grader, Nice. And it was curious. I was very curious about that, even though I didn't know how to handle it or respect it, because in high school I almost got kicked out of high school because after my second year, she was my advocate, and she said, give him another year. And I was introduced to opera, and we performed with the Baltimore Opera Company in the chorus of Otello, of Verdi's Otello. And that was it for me, because I understood the aspect of being a character, putting on a costume, changing my identity, and no one in the audience knew who I was. So I was free to express some of the deeper things in me that I couldn't maybe do outside, just in my regular person. So it was just so great. I'm like, this is great. This is what I want to do. And that's what inspired me. And then everything, music refocused my life, or focused my life, so everything came into focus through this gift of music. And that's how I was introduced to classical music. And then from classical music, it went from classical music to opera. And opera is where I landed and where I have been, I've been doing it since high school. I was introduced to it, but after college, I think that's what it went after that. I was really convinced that I had an operatic voice and I could be an artist. It took me that long.
I guess I misunderstood the question. Was the question when we were introduced to it, or when we like?
I'm just going amen, because he's almost answering some of the questions I was going to ask anyway. So it's quite. I was just like, Listen, that was beautiful, because what he did for me, it's almost like he actually triggered a lot of things in my head. Now, I do want to just explain our priest Reisz, aka Reisz, what's his role here, because sometimes, you know, again, opera, black guy from Birmingham, what on earth is the connection? Yeah, so just explain the connection here, Reisz, before we go more into this.
Yeah, cool. So for most of the listeners, they will know me as a singer-songwriter who's got an affinity with affinity. Yeah. But effectively, my role in the Opera Company is Artistic Associate. What that allows me to do is it's sort of like a three-strand role. But the main ethos of my role is to be able to bring new audiences to opera. But the way to do that, or to exercise that, is to go out and do community engagement. And when we talk about new audiences, we're not just talking about new randoms. We're literally talking about actually opening opera to the masses and reminding people or showing people that opera originally was by the people for the people. And because of the elitist mindset and the world trends and changes and so on and so forth, it has been pulled and separated. Bearing in mind, I think I'm the right person to do this, because I needed to be convinced first. And just like my walk with Christ, it was kind of like, I'm against it until I'm all in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then when I'm bought in, then it's like, well, I will be your first in and your last out type of thing. So in having a conversation with Mr. Richard Willisey, he was just like, he knew that I was working in the theatre world. He knew that I was directing theatre. He also knew that I was doing some movement specialisms. He knew that I was doing also my own personal music path, which, as you already know, Roger, involves so many classical elements, just because I was that weird, curious kid. But I sort of balanced that with a weird street cred. So it was I'm going to use classical and nobody can't tell me anything, right? It was a bit of the bravado of actually wanting to be able to sit in a world. And so because of the amazing upbringing I had by my mom, I was able to be all things to all men. So I could sit with the Lord Mayor, have dinner and speak about certain things. And I pride myself on being quite studious. So like yourself, you've gone and you found out something about Richard Wagner, and you know, so now we can feed into the conversation. That was my life. That's always been my life. You know, let me get a little bit of information so that I don't look stupid sitting down in the conversation, right? So because of that, again, Richard, who is he's one of the directors at the Birmingham Opera Company, has basically saw me and just said, look, I know you're doing bits and bobs. Come and speak to us. And first of all, I was like, nah, not interested. You're all right, Rich. But keep in touch, you know, you have that kind of banter. And he's you guys talk about these people that have come in and changed their life. And he's such a down-to-earth, everydaysman that you wouldn't even place him in this arena as well. I mean, my journey of that started a little bit before that with Sir Geoffrey Skidmore and Shirley at the CBSYC. So I was on the City of Birmingham Youth Symphony Choir. And that was nuts, because I just got invited down to rehearsal, come and do this thing. So, sing your heart out, cool, I'll do it. The same with sport. Oh, you look big, you can play rugby, you can play American football, put this stuff on and do this part. It's that kind of thing. So actually growing the love for it has been part of the journey. So advocating for it, I can actually stand up and say, listen, I come from this group of people who don't believe it. So why would I'm able to be able to, without sounding so callous, sell it back to the people it belongs to in the first place. It took me the same level of convincing to fall in love with it. And when I realised that it was just the perfect marriage of theatre and music, of the language of music, it was theatre and music in holistic integrity. I was so, that was me.
That's beautiful.
So,
no, that's crazy. That's because just in case everyone's thinking, oh gosh, how we get connect and whatever. So this is, guys, you got the connect, and it's fantastic what I've heard, because something I've been saying a lot, Chrystal, Eric, is saying that the choirs, you know, in the UK, there's a period where the choirs got almost minimized in churches, and it created a for me a very low in quality, you know what I mean, in terms of output of people coming at church. A lot of the young people that I'm talking to actually learned from choirs in school, when you had choir masters going to school, which is a weird concept for me, because you should have your choir at church, but you go to church but you're not being taught the certain skills and fundamental skills. Now I just want you guys to Chrystal, if you can kind of emphasize, I believe Eric touched a bit about it, but emphasize some of the elements you learned from gospel music that actually helped you transcend into the upper world? Because people would think that that's some weird singing there with big massive vibrato. Do you shake more? How do you get it going on? And does somebody shake you and you have to get the movements? Sorry, I'm just saying something got a clue. But what's the connect? Because I'm thinking maybe there's a couple singers, maybe the Hawkins, some of the Hawkins main vocalists. There's a couple of them that I could see could do that. But how can, if you give some examples, how was the connect and how did you the strength it pulled from gospel into this sphere?
Well, it's interesting. So I didn't grow up with a gospel background per se. In my home church, there wasn't a youth choir per se. So I sang in the pews, you know, and in the adult choir, there was this one woman, she had like this beautiful operatic voice, and I always stood out in choir. Like the students would make fun of my voice. I would always get the solos because I was the loudest, and you know, and I was quite studious as well, so I would learn my music and be prepared. Number one, but you know, so there was all of that. So I would hear this beautiful voice that always kind of stood out in praise at church, but it wasn't your standard gospel. I mean, we did beautiful hymns. You know, like the old mother in the church would just, she would sing, I'd be like, oh, she's the best tenor I ever heard in my entire life. You know, like that kind of, you know, deep, earthly sound. So it didn't, so for me, I didn't get choir at church. I got choir basically from school. And then when I got to the government school, and this is the thing, I wasn't always going to even be a singer. Like I was going to be a teacher, a psychologist, a biologist, because I always wanted to help people. My one sister was chemistry, one is physics, and I was going to be biology, and we were going to like save the world, you know? So it was after I got into government school and we took a trip to New York that I was fascinated. Leontine Price, a famous African-American soprano, just one of the greats in the world. She was singing something on one of the monitors, and I was glued to the floor. I don't remember what she was singing, but I remember asking the director, Alan Fisher, I said, how can I help people by, you know, doing this? And he said, you can help them through the music. So that's actually what sold me on, you know, this field and trying to, you know, really take opera or classical music as a career path, because I always wanted to help people. That was always my goal. And so the music kind of got me that way. But as far as gospel music, I didn't grow up with gospel. I mean, we listened to it, but it wasn't like a...
It wasn't. So who was your favorite artist? Let's just put it out there. Who did you listen to then growing up?
Oh, well, I mean, I grew up with... I listened to gospel music, you know, the Yolanda Adams, you know, I mean, all of that. But we also, like, I'm the youngest, so there's a kind of a big gap, and so I grew up listening to the Temptations. I grew up listening to like PBS shows, which is, you know, a public show in the States. With sometimes it would be opera, sometimes it would be rock music. It would be a mix of whatever. My mom would put some Mozart. I mean, you know, it was just a hodgepodge of whatever they were listening to in the house, and then I would come home with my show tunes from choir. So no, that's great. That's great
because everybody kind of like comes in here, and what we kind of stepping out of the per se that we're only influenced by gospel, but a lot of times people are influenced by so many different strands of music which they hear in their home from their siblings, older siblings. A lot of times I've had guys, you know, Ray Prince, he said that his brothers will listen to certain stuff which he's not, you know, I'm allowed to listen to, but anyway, but he'll sneak by and he'll listen to a load of Bob Marley music and whatsoever because his brother was playing it, you know, and we don't realize then how much big brother or big sister influences the younger one, you know what I mean, and whatsoever, and then you sing along and then you vibe to and you're exposed to things which you probably don't realize that has that, you know, their part in you now.
I will say though, it's not gospel music, but I mean those hymns. I mean gospel music as in traditional.
Cool. The hymns,
But even the music at my church, like those hymns were some of the most beautiful music, and I will agree, some of the operatic choruses and some of the interludes, I mean, are straight hymns, you know, straight church. So it is the connection was already there before I even made it myself.
No, that's a fantastic point, because the hymns that'll start a whole nother show on that anyway. So yeah, where's all the hymns in church now? But let's not go there. Yes, Eric. Sorry.
What was his name? The one who was always forward thinking. He wrote Stomp. What's his name?
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin. Yeah. I did do a summer sample, and I love being in the children's chorus where we did Stomp. So I will have to say, Kirk Franklin was already in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk is amazing. Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to say, you said, what do we bring from the church to classical? What do we get from the church or gospel music to the church? Since my background was definitely gospel, it was only gospel. I mean, if I heard other music, it was because it was around me. It wasn't because we were allowed to turn it on. And not even so much even allowed. I was so bought in by everything that was the standard at the house. I didn't even turn it on in my private time, until I got older. Then I started to branch out and get other, become a more well-rounded artist, music lover, I should say, music lover. But I wanted to bring this point up. What we do gain from the church, or what I did gain from the church of gospel music, because we didn't have the traditional chorus, where we're given sheet music, learning to read music, learning to count. We didn't. That's in gospel music in the Black church, at least in my experience in the States. We didn't look at music. We didn't learn. I didn't know anything about the workings of music, the building of a chord. I didn't know any of that, right? So, but what I did gain from is when I had to start learning music in high school, is my ear was so strong. Yes, because everything you learn by ear. So they you go you repeat after, and then they put the harmony under it. You may not know what that chord is, but you know that it is changed. You know it's about to lead to a modulation because of now I know because of this the deceptive cadence, the deceptive cadence. So something else is going to happen after that. Now I can put verbiage to what I remember used to hearing in church. Now I have the verbiage to put with it. So now I have the knowledge to put with it, right? Yeah. But my ear was so strong, and then to sing over the organ, the Hammond B3, which is mic'd. That's right. Over the piano, that's the keyboard that's playing, the drums that's playing, and you're singing over top of that, you're shouting. Now that's not the same production of sound that we use as singers. We can't use that. Yeah. But that whole idea of singing over something, I took that from it. So now to sing over 100-piece or 80-piece orchestra, okay. I mean, then I learned how to project, but I'm not afraid of it. It does not intimidate me how big the orchestra is, because I sang over a Hammond B3 that was mic'd. I sang over drums that were mic'd. I sang over a guitar that was mic'd, a bass that was mic'd. So all of that.
I would like to jump in on the fear part too. I mean, I would say not gospel, but in my church journey, like growing up, we sang candles and silence. So if the soprano got sick, it didn't matter what Chrystal was studying in school, but Chrystal studied so she could read it and she could sing it, because Sister Annette is ill and somebody needs to sing Rejoice Greatly. So you just sing everything. Like literally, I sang soprano, alto, tenor, and I think the only one I didn't sing was bass, and that was in government school. So like just growing up, and then in the church, when they modulate, you don't think about it. There's no fear in like vocal registration. You're not thinking, but I don't sing. I'm maxed out at C. I mean, we sing a high D at like 9:30 in the morning because the Lord was taking us up. So you just so I think for me, definitely the lack of fear and this idea that I can't. Because when it's, that's through Christ all things are possible. That's just here. And then also when you give into God, it's like you gotta give your all. If it's flat, it's in the name of the Lord. Who cares? There's that's not that fear, that pressure of
that's good.
Having to get it right or something.
And I'd really love to piggyback on the tail end of that, because I think the two poignant things that have both been mentioned is the intimidation and the fear. Then also this thing about restriction. It's really, really interesting. I'm sitting on the musician, so I sang, but I play a bit. So And like you said, it wasn't sheet music, it was all by ear. So now when I listen to RhineGold and I hear some of these interludes, and I'm listening to these chords, I'm getting the same shakes that I'm getting when I'm sitting down and Jay saying, move one, and Jay says 2, 3, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? My body's moving. And I'm saying to myself, well, okay, then cool. There's human emotion and feeling, but there's something. Where do I draw the line at that thing being the encouragement or the involvement of the divine musical interpretation that sits within us, or music being my experience of how I experience God in this realm or in this world of art or whatever. So it can't be coincidence that I'm sitting down and getting quickened when I'm hearing certain modulations and certain chord progressions that remind me of something that we would have, you are the fairest of teta, and you hear, what? You've lost your mind? And so there's literally this time, you witnessed it, right? We'll be at rehearsals and we're just, and this is in the middle of opera, and of course, as a strange language to those who, aren't privy to or don't partake in worship in that way. It looks they don't recognize that as a language of excitement for the music. But of course, what we're experiencing is the connection between actually not only everything that we know heritage-wise, tradition-wise, but also that's that feeling that I get when I'm in full worship. And I think you said something to me that was really key the other day. Every time I open my mouth, if I'm not doing it for the glory of the Lord, irrespective, and that made me think about portrayal of character and so on and so forth. And I thought, if there was a member of an audience in a crowd who was battling with a certain issue, and my job on stage is playing somebody that represents that issue. Also, the church may be looking, and I say the church, we're talking about, the church of the structure of the church, may be looking inward and saying, well, that seems like you've done of the ministry to make sure that you do such a great job projecting that thing that this person can come to you or feels as though they've been touched, or they get a little bit of that sense of something happened and I don't know what it is. It's fine if you don't know what it is. We need to know what it is. And so informing the language, I thought I was making chords up on the guitar, like, oh, that's dope. And then somebody comes and says, no, that's a sharp minor. What does that mean? And being able to say, oh, there is a language that goes around this, allows you to sit in any derivative of a music group or whatever not, and to be able to share conversation, it becomes then part of your natural vocab. So I'm not as astute as these guys are in a sense of reading and learning, but from the bits that I do know and from what I remember, I can jump in a conversation and attach something emotive to, okay, so you're talking about the second modulation there. Well, let's lift that. And all of those kind of conversations can take place. So that excites me to do that come from you guys as well.
That's. I will say,
go on.
It's all about. For me, being open, the vessel, right? So whenever you get on stage, if you're open, then whatever is supposed to happen through that performance or through that production will happen, and that is for me my job is to make sure that I'm open and that I'm yielded enough so that. The glory is always to God, so that I can be used. Essentially,
Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna before I touch into the piece, the work that you're doing, you know what I'm saying, and we're gonna talk about the author and you know what I mean, and whatsoever. So I'm gonna have some fun with that. But would you say that you're part of the first generation black opera singers in America, or there's generations before you that's been involved? Is that something that's been going on for centuries? Because I'm coming on this thing with very little knowledge. I looked over to opera, I'm like, opera what? That's Pavarotti, and that's all I know. You know what I mean? So sorry guys if I come out unlearned, but anyway, but no, are you guys, would you say you're second, third generation? Did you have black people inspiring you looking back in the history books?
Yes, I think we're not even third generation. I think it's many generations before us.
Wow.
A classical sound or refined sound is something that is innate to Africa. It comes all the way back there. I don't think of formal lessons or anything were given, but I think that to make that sound that we make, that open, tall sound, not flat. This is throughout African music. It's throughout the African music. And I think when we come to America and when we think about America, Yeah, I think then you go to the Africans that were brought over to America and made to be slaves. They heard this refined kind of music making, whether it was sound or with an instrument, and I think it may have shaped what they were naturally doing, and then many of them throughout after slavery tried to go and pursue this, to sing the same German music. I mean, because let's just be honest. Let's just put it right where it is. Classical music is a European art form. Opera is a European art form. It's not something that, America does not own that. I mean, and that's the thing that I think sometimes America gets wrong. I mean, they come at it as if that's not theirs, it's not yours. You are interpreting something that you didn't get from the originator. We sing the music of Charlotte and I can't think of the first the Italian art song. I can't think of the guy's name, but Caldara. We have Charlotte. We have Scarlatti. Sorry, Scarlatti. Caldara. But it's Gluck. I can't pull it any more out of my head. But all those early Italian art songs. Yeah. That's where it started. And it's not. Cool. It's not us. I mean, it's not an American thing, right? Yeah, but we are, it is shaped. We've been shaped by it. So, I mean, it's like we give credit. We say that Marian Anderson was the first African-American singer to sing at the Metropolitan Opera House. But the Metropolitan Opera House was not the first expression, right, of opera or presenters of opera. There were other theaters. I mean, there was a black theater that was run by African Americans, and it went away. But I think they were actively working now to refurbish it and try to get it to come back. And I don't think it's going to be an opera house, but it'll be some type of place where artists can come so artists can come and do concerts and things like that, or it could be a museum. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what Denise Graves and her foundation is trying to do. Is another famous opera singer. She's a mezzo soprano, and so it's just we stand on the shoulders of great people. Yeah, I mean generations of great people, and for it to have called me and chosen me, and I'm sure Chris will probably say the same thing, but I know for me it called me and chose me, and for me to vibrate on this level in this way, because I mean I could have been a gospel singer because that's what I knew. Could have been an R&B singer because that's what's around us, that's popular. But this is very unpopular. I mean, this is not like the go-to. I mean, my buddies, they look at me sometimes like I'm crazy. Like, what are you doing? When I told them this to be an opera singer, like, what? Why do you want to go and sing? And immediately they think, why do you want to go and sing for white people? And I just think that, I mean, what? Why are you trying to be white or something? They associate it with that kind of stuff. And it's unfortunate that's it, because we have a history as Black people in classical music. It belongs to us as much as it belongs to anyone else. As Reisz said, as we have studied and know, that opera was written by the people for the people. And it was never, I mean, there are opera houses. I mean, I've sung in the opera houses in Italy where Palermo, Teatro Massimo, it was built for the people. It's a huge opera house and it is beautiful. It's one of the largest, I think it's the largest opera house in Italy, if not all of Europe. I mean, I think it's just in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, nevertheless, it is a fantastic building, a fantastic structure, and it's built for the people. So to say this belongs to me, or for one person to take ownership of it, or one group of people to take ownership of it, that's not the mission or the job of music. Music is universal. And it didn't come from a man. Man didn't originate music. Music is divine. Music is eternal. It's from eternity. It comes from that place that we don't even know. We don't know that realm. We experience it here and there. If you have an understanding of the divine, and that's in my opinion, but some people way into the divine is music. I mean, the arts. So it's in all of that is given. That Creator gave us that. I came to the earth with this in my throat. I didn't learn it. I didn't pick it up. I came, with this in there, which is reason to jump.
No, 100%. That's beautiful, man. That is beautiful. But it's actually giggle because I'll be one of your mates going, one of your friends going, why are you doing opera?
I know. It's okay. I mean, it's fine.
You sure?
I think what's actually beautiful about that as well is Chrystal said earlier on, she could have been a biologist, psychology, she was studying all of these different things. What people don't realize is that when you're on that stage, when you're performing, you are all of those things. You are all of the things because you have to think about the piece in a particular way. You have to understand human behavior and emotion. You have to also whilst you're doing that, you have to be aware of what your body's doing to be able to generate the sound, to be able to bypass something that may be happening over there, to also understand that the music's traveling in a particular way. But that might be a reaction to something that's happening in the underbelly of the music whilst I make to react. All of these, it's so all-encompassing. And actually, I don't know another art form really. Shoot me down if you want. I don't know another art form that is so all-encompassing in a way that you have to be, you almost have to think so much that the best thing to do is not think and just be. It's a real juxtaposition of itself.
This is exciting.
Whereas if you're doing theatre, it's particularly derivative to theatre. If you're going to go and sing and you build your stage, the most you're going to do. And I don't mean this to sound derogatory to anybody who has fantastic stage presence, but a little bit of movement, a little bit of characterization, whoever your character is or whatever. This here is actually narrative through music. So actually expression of human behavior and understanding and all those things are coming out of these guys' throats. But also has to be depicted with the way they're moving. So the sitting down and learning the score is one thing. The sitting down and learning the libretto is another thing. But the sitting down and understanding who the heck you are going to be in that moment whilst you're delivering that. I mean, it's amazing, and I would encourage anybody that hasn't witnessed it firsthand but has an ideology of it to come and see something, especially the way, and I'm going to sound a little bit like I'm plugging now, but particularly the way that Birmingham Opera Company do things, because it's just ripped apart, and there's something for you to latch onto, and I think there's something in this whole, but those stories aren't relevant, and that doesn't mean anything now, and Wagner was a this, and then he was that, and Mozart was... listen to me, if you can take Shakespeare and make it relevant and turn a sword into a gun, you can very much understand that there is language that is in pieces like RhineGold that actually speak to us in the here and now. And I think what it is, it's about, they've both said it so articulately, if you are not open, and again, from a believer's perspective, being open allows that to be able to transport itself, right? But then there is something in the receptor as well. It's not always, I mean, you've got one job and you're given, but there has to be something, a wall that's broken in the receptor, and that's where our stance as believers is like, oh no, we're about to do a job out here, right?
No, 100%. Because I was as you was talking, just before we get to you was just talking there. There's no plug. Don't worry about that plug-in, mate. Because I was gonna say now, are you guys getting me excited, man? Because I'm like, it's okay, right? Is Roger gonna take out his wife to come to the opera, and I'm gonna be that noisy guy going, go girl, I won't embarrass anybody, but yo, sing it, we won't bring that gospel elements to you. We have to go. I'll wear my shirt and tie. But what's tell me about this RhineGold. Is it RhineGold? Have I said it right? Gold, RhineGold, So I was trying to be fancy accent and it just flopped then. My German is absolutely rubbish. But obviously I did a little bit of research into this piece, and you mentioned a bit before, you're actually looking at different perspectives in terms of spirits and culture and different elements in there, and I'm seeing different gods are in there and different things like that. So you're going to convince somebody who's a straight up, I ain't done no time on road, gone church all my life. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna appreciate this piece, and I want to support you guys. So I'm gonna be coming along and see. I'll probably do a load of posts and go, I'm here. Let's see the opera house. I get all excited. I'm gonna hit it. But how do you guys? Obviously you're looking at different thought processes and you're projecting that. is it a process where you decide what you don't do or what you do, or you just do it, man? You just do it, and you use these pieces as learning about other people's perspectives on world and life. I don't know if that all makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say this. I want to say this part about the, as artists, Chrystal and I are artists, right? So we may have studied and broken it down to understand what our character is, but we can never, come in with a set and be so set to deliver our point of view this way, because we are almost servants, not just to the music, but then we are also hired. Because we're not servants. I'm only servant to the music, but I'm hired to bring to life what the director, his idea is. So the director may have a concept about this whole piece, and I want to bring this out and bring that out. Then it's my job then to take and to try to bring what he wants, but still be true to Eric, because I am the vessel, but so I have to be true to Eric to find what that is, right? And then you have here any great director who's worth his soul, his or her soul. They will listen. You will have an exchange. You can say, well, So it is a collaborative work. So I can say, well, in this moment, I was feeling this, because I thought this represented this. So that's what makes me maybe deliver the line this way. This makes me color my voice this way when I'm doing this. Do you agree with this? And we have this conversation. And then there is a marriage that is made with director and artist, because I trust the director. The director also trusts who they have hired as an artist. So I can bring my understanding or my vision about the role or about this particular line or this particular object. And then we have this discussion. But the thing that it is that the thing that's so awesome is that even though a director and myself, we could have made this, we got this, so this is what this all means. The audience member could sit there and say, I didn't get that. I got this.
Yeah. Cool.
If you come, you will see it. You'll see it through your eye, because everyone's seeing it through the lens of their experience. So no one, I can't put my glasses on you if you have some disability with sight and say, here, wear my glasses and you can now see. They have to be fit for you. So it's your experience that once I put these on, I say, oh, I see it this way. And there may be similarities in our vision, so you can see part of it my way, but it's still going to be colored by your experience. And that's the beauty of art. Because one man calls trash, another man says, this is worth $1 million. You say, what? So it's like,
this is our job to communicate. What we communicate can vary. It does matter, but in the end, it doesn't matter, because one acting teacher said to us, if you communicate something, then the audience will receive in their own way. So as long as you're communicating and sharing something, then they'll have something to receive. So it's crazy. Yeah, it's beautiful how it works. Yeah.
No, that's actually great. Just Reisz, I'm gonna now actually let me kind of because this is obviously the production is kind of weird, and I have to say, guys, I am not a opera goer. I wouldn't say, I'm not saying I'm into hardcore grimy stuff, whatever. So yeah, I'm just like a guy who just likes music, but obviously always in the gospel scene and whatsoever. Now obviously in America now, is there a big culture towards opera? Or is it for black people, or is it still a growing? You still got ignorances in that in with black people in America, with African Americans, or y'all cool with it and there's massive up? It's crazy. It's just normal. Is it? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
The normal is a big audience of black people that come to the opera.
Well, I think since there's been a whole movement with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd especially, but there's been a whole movement to try and have more representation on stage. build more equal and equitable opportunities. So there's a push for that. But typically, if you have some Black singers on stage, then you'll get
some Black audience.
Yeah, cool.
But it's not like, it's like no one is like, oh my God, we're going to the opera tonight. No, let's go. Oh, would you want to go to the opera or you want to go to a game? Would you want to go to the opera or you want to go to a movie? Trust me, the game and the movie will probably win.
Okay.
But as Chrystal was saying, the thing that we've been, look, it has nothing to do with the movement now. This has been the movement forever. If you know that what's on the stage will be reflective of what's in the audience, or the audience will be what's reflective on the stage.
That's simple.
But if you're ready for that, but the people aren't ready for that sometimes.
Well, I think the point that I was making is that the companies are now being held under a light. They're being held on the screen, so to speak. They're seen by more people. So I think there's a bit more demand for them to do pressure really for something to be done.
That's good.
It's been for years. But I'm just saying that I think there's a bit more pressure now with the current event.
Exactly. I think it's interesting because even as being British, that's hard to say after the England game. But that's another time. That's another time. When we've got time, we got 5 minutes.
I'm a subject. Wait, so yeah, go.
But being from this country or living in this,
I can live with that.
Just to put it correct. There's always this aspiration to do things the way the Americans do it. There isn't a firm foundation, especially when it comes to things like. But the one thing that they gravitate to and hold on to is, well, the arts are ours. We do the arts better, and there's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a patriotism. It's you guys, right? There's a real thing like that. But here's the thing that talks about what you guys are just saying. This crossover now of everything that's happened and Black artists to, let's say, a Black artist that played the tuba and never was able to tell their friend or let it be known they played the tuba. So outwardly they're a rapper, but they're little secret things that they play tuba. All of a sudden now it's like, yo, man, bring my tuba out, and what do you know? There's this thing. So effectively, what you guys have just described is what my job is.
Totally.
Right? How do I then go and say, guys, come and watch this show because you will see yourself in it? You know, and for good, for better or for worse, one of the pulling powers of this show is that the main protagonist cast are all Black. So I've had the language to be able to go back into the community and supply it. And in a weird way, Roger, that's unfortunate. In a weird way, it's so unfortunate that that's one of the attack points I've had to use just to get people to it. People have low experience in art. Do you know what I mean? When the arts crashed, people's mental health plummeted as well.
That's correct.
So effectively, have to go back into the community, but I understand why, because there are stigmas and so on and so forth. But to have to go back and say, guys, you want to come and see this because we're playing it, we're going to be messing around with these concepts and power and greed and money and and then have to reference it to a TV program that I know everybody watches, Power or Greene. To have to use language just for people to turn around and go, all right, come on. And we'll come and see that. Cool. But what we're hoping they'll do is understand what the stories and see themselves. Like, so going into story, Wotan's the god of gods, but there's a weird, there's a shifting in what that actually will mean to somebody sitting and watching. And somebody sitting and watching, I've felt that before. Of course, they're not the god of gods.
Yeah.
But it's about these little things, as we were talking about relationship and so on and so forth. In the play, these guys are husband and wife, but they are both, the pinnacle gods. So when you see an argument ensue, you see there was a married man or somebody, a partner, whatever, and you go, my wife would have done that as well. Do you see what I mean? But it's weird because the real defining conversation isn't the before conversation, it's the after conversation. It's gonna be, what did you guys think, as opposed to come along and see. And that's where we're having the real.
That's what art does. Right? Art's supposed to change us.
Yeah, so there should be something that changes in the end. So you better tell all your people to come, Raj.
Another thing I want to say. So, and also I want to say, just in terms of the opera, and in terms of, you said, what the people get from it. You know, if you're off there churchgoers or whatever, is what am I going to the opera for? This is opera. Okay, so just one thing, it's just one point. Is, you know, we are all enticed by something. Something pulls our attention because where no one lives in the spirit all the time. The Bible tells us the spirit does not strive with man always, right? So we as much as grand and wonderful as some Christians may think that they are, and we are, but we are not, because we are prone to sin. It is our default. We are molded in this sinful flesh. We have to mortify daily the deeds of the flesh, right? So when you see RhineGold, and the gold is the thing that's pulling people, this gold. Well, what is your gold? And anyone sitting there that is a Christian, if I'm speaking to my Christian audience, come and hear a sermon through music and through a story that was written so many years ago, and see how that was not written by a churchgoer, was not written by a bishop or an apostle, but it was written by a man that was gifted by the Creator. And even the story that he writes, we can glean from it and say, this is my gold. I'm sitting there, this is what pulls me. Because if you walk out with a conviction, that has nothing to do with Wagner, that has nothing to do with Eric, that has nothing to do with Chrystal, has nothing to do with Reisz, has nothing to do with you. It has to do with that spirit that you say that governs your life and controls you. That spirit has now said, I want you to look at this. You see that? You see what's happening to Botan? You see how he is so attracted to this gold? You see how this giant is, you know, who cares if they're giants? Who cares if it was a head god, the goddess? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Any of those characters wash away, and we transcend, all that's transcended, because the main thing is that what is pulling you away from the voice of the essence of all things? What is pulling you away from this, you reaching your higher person, your higher self, you know, being in the image of God, walking in the image of God? What's keeping you from that? So you walk away with that and you're like, whoa, wow. That's what you take away from it. If you've sat and you listen, you know, or if you've read the synopsis, and maybe even reading synopsis, you get it already before. I mean, but art is there. It is for me, it's ministry. So if you come, I'm standing as a minister.
And let me just add one thing. Amen to the all that.
Yeah.
I would just add one thing for those who would say like, oh, that's secular. What are you doing? Let's just remember that God will use anyone and anything.
Come on.
So, like Eric just said, if God is using this music as the ministry, are you going to miss the message?
No, guys. That's some hardcore stuff. But I do want to. I know Reisz is on a tight schedule, and you guys got to go out. And I know we're going to end off in a second. But I just want to know. I ain't got a clue about Opera House. I go to theatre, and the theatre I go to is Cineworld, and we go there, we get our popcorn, we get the popcorn, we come in our jeans and t-shirt, and I don't want to shame you guys up here when I come in my James and look for my popcorn and my Starbucks coffee, yeah? Well, how do you approach the opera? And you know, now guys gonna go like this, Roger, why are you saying this? Listen, I have never been to the theatre in my entire opera. How do I dress? How do I look? How do, you know?
Just think of going out, if you're going on a date with your partner, you're going on a date with your wife, you're going on a date with your husband, how do you want to look? You can fancy it up, or you can go casual, but you know, you just went smart. Birmingham Opera really is come as you are. That's what I love about Birmingham Opera. But I'm saying for the other operas, if you say, well, I won't come to Birmingham, I came to Birmingham Opera, but now I'm a fan of opera. Now I want to go to Royal Opera House. I want to go to Welsh National Opera. Okay, if you do those things, then you think about this is not this. But how do you? Yeah, it's a night out. Having a night out. If you go on a night out, you're not going to just turn up as you would turn up to go play rugby. I mean, you're not going to turn up that way. You know, you're going to turn up a little bit a little smarter.
That's good. That's good.
But this piece, man,
bring the Mandalorian t-shirt.
Wear that, because if I see them doing that, I know I'm in the right place. That's right.
So just to make sure that in terms of it sounds weird, but is there like a Starbucks in the Birmingham Opera or something like that?
Starbucks.
Is there a coffee shop? Or
the bar's going to be open. You'll be able to get.
It's a bar. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
The venue, I'm not going to release on this.
Yeah.
But, if people want to know, they can contact you or contact whatever.
Yeah.
But the venue is going to have all the amenities that it would usually have.
Okay, cool. That's great. That's right.
Raj, tell the people, anybody who's struggling, come as you are.
Yes.
This is about you receiving something, not giving something.
No, that's beautiful.
Exactly.
What's the date? What's the date, guys? So we can see what dates is it?
Show dates. We have show dates on the 31st of July and the 2nd of August. Again, if anybody wants specific details about venue and stuff like that,
we'll send it over to us, and we'll push out there any audio beats you want to
open rehearsal just before that as well. But again, I'll give you the finer details about that, because we have to be very sure to show due diligence to those who call the shots at the top end. Yeah.
All right, cool, and hopefully. Go. Yeah, man.
Come on.
Oh, come on. Make my show. Just get my flow going on. I don't know. I'll come and say, yeah, I'm going to, I'm here. No bouncers can't keep me now. Let's not get the stereotype on here. But I'll have my doggy bag, we have to bring our dinner. It's like, get the chicken in there so I can just have it while I'm going. Guys, appreciate the time.
I'm going to soft spots now.
I know, he will. I
might get a look.
Roger looks tough, but I'll tell you what, you're going to wobble in certain parts, bro. I'm telling you, you play bass as well. So you know.
No.
Roger, guys off, man.
Yeah. Listen, I'm bringing my missus, and we're going to come and enjoy the show. Listen, Reisz, let me know. Beautiful talking to you guys, and we're going to put this out on YouTube over the weekend, and we're going to be pushing it like crazy. Guys, all love all day, yeah? Bless you, man. Take care, man. Blessings, man, yeah? God bless you, man.
All right, bless you.
Bless you.
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.